One, two. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I
Yes.
can hear you.
Yay! How are you, Rick? You okay?
Yeah, doing great.
You're looking sharp, man. You're looking
Um,
well. You're looking nice.
well, I'm doing the best I can. What else can you do?
Thank you first and foremost for doing this. I really, really appreciate it. It's
Uh,
great to see you again as well. How long was it since we last spoke?
well, I know we spoke around 2000 when I was performing at the London Palladium because I wanted to
Right.
get you in the show, and it got absolutely mad at the last minute, and
I can
I wasn't
imagine.
do it. You know, my wife had come over, and other people within the band had way too many people on their list, and it
Yeah,
just got crazy. So, but
I
that's
can
the last
imagine.
time we spoke. We've communicated since then,
Yeah.
of course, over emails and such.
So, to kind of kick us off, I thought it might be a good thing to just kind of tell us about how you first got into music, how, where did it all start for you? And, how did you first pick up the guitar and go from there?
Well, in the 50s, actually, you know, dating myself, of course, but I remember when rock and roll first started being presented on television over here. And my grandfather one day brought over a little guitar that had been my mother's, but it was a acoustic Hawaiian guitar that you played on your lap, you know, with a bar.
Yeah, yeah.
It was still partially tuned, so I could make out La Cucaracha. Da, 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 da. So I guess my parents saw, or my mother anyway, she saw that I had an interest in it with Elvis and all that, Chuck Berry and all being on television. So they got me some lessons with and got me a rental guitar to see if I'd like it. And I
Mhm.
started on in the late 50s. And I just kind of stayed with it. You know, I would get frustrated and put it away for a while. And then some little kid would show me something. And I finally figured out how you play chords behind melodies. And that opened up a whole world. And then I figured out that I could listen to songs on the radio and play along with them or figure out the chords to popular songs and such.
Right,
That's how I
right.
play the guitar.
Wow, wow. So there was no kind of formal education or college or any of that kind of stuff that you didn't do a course or something like that. It was just
No,
purely organic.
no, I tried taking lessons when I was, you know, in the 50s. I was probably too young. And then again, I tried with an uncle of mine who had been a New York uh, uh, guy that played in the pits for Broadway shows and such. And and that didn't work out because we were, you know, I liked rock and roll and he was old school. So then I finally got with a guy for a very short while who recognized that I had a good ear. And he said, well, you know, you can labor through this book learning stuff, or I can show you how to play rock and roll and bend strings and do that. And I said, that's what I want. And he, James Burton. James Burton was Ricky Nelson's guitar player who was on television every week in their show called The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet. So James Burton would be the lead guitar guy behind Ricky Nelson, and later he went to play with Elvis. And in more recent years, we've become good friends. And so then I started really playing rock and roll guitar, and I got my first electric guitar soon after that, and such.
Wow. What guitar was it? What was the electric that you got?
It was a Gibson ES 125 with the thick body and had one
Yeah.
P90 pickup in the neck, and it came with a little amplifier called Alamo that were made in Texas. Really great little. So that was my first one. Then I got a Gretsch single pickup. It was called a Corvette Twist model. It had this red and white striped pick guard, as I recall, and that was more
Beautiful.
sounding guitar. It had the pickup in the bridge, and I soon sold that, and I got my first vintage Telecaster, a '63 model Telecaster, and that was my
Wow.
number of years.
Yeah, yeah. And now obviously you're using Reverend gear. Was anything was the the pick guard on the original guitar, because you just said it's modeled on looks like a Cadillac. I remember the Reverend that you gave me, that was totally like a Cadillac design. But did that had a was that any connection there, or is it just totally a separate thing, the Reverend?
Well, I had been designing guitars once, like in the mid '80s, say. I started designing guitars on paper, and during the time I was playing with Bob Seger on the road, we had a lot of days off. So I kind of kept at it. And when I got home, I had this one design I really liked, and I made a to scale model on paper. And I brought it to a guy at Norman's Rare Guitars, uh, whose name was Toru Mitono from Japan. And he made my first self-designed guitar. And then later, when I started using Reverend guitars on the road, they suggested that we combine our ideas, and we started throughout with Rick Vito signature models. And I've had 4 different ones. So the one you're talking about was the second one. That was very Art Deco,
Yeah,
automotive inspired.
I've still got the red one, and my dad's got the mint green
Oh yeah,
one. And they're both beautiful. Yeah, beautiful, and they sound amazing as well. They're just really unique as a guitar as well. They're amazing.
I think they're pretty unique guitars.
Yeah, they're really good. And so talk about your playing style then, because you didn't sort of learn through the maths of it. You learn through your ear.
Yeah,
And I think the way that that guitar is constructed is perfect for slide guitar. It's perfect for that kind of setup. And of course, I remember when we were touring, you regularly had one that was kind of set up where the action was much higher and you were able to do all the slide stuff. At what point did you kind of get into that? And was that the Hawaiian influence that got you there?
well, no, as a matter of fact, when I was in college, I'd been playing for a number of years semi-professionally, playing at clubs and frat parties, and backing up uh, artists in the Philadelphia area and such. And so one day I was in my room in my house, which was a house that I shared with a bunch of other guys. And I had a friend whom I used to perform with called Rick Valenti, and he was a harmonica player, singer, great, still around, still great. And I heard this. He was in the kitchen, and I thought he was playing a record. And I looked in, and it was him playing the slide guitar. Like a folk blues on the acoustic guitar.
Yeah.
And I said, I didn't know you could do that. And how do you do that? So he said he turned me on to G tuning, and he taught me how to play the Walkin' Blues, which was he was doing the Sun House version, and
Right.
Robert had done that also. So
Yeah.
from that point on, I always had a guitar that was set up with the higher strings higher up off the neck, and thicker strings. And I first learned the G tuning, and then went on to D and E and other tunings, to learn how to play Elmore James style and that kind of thing.
Right. Yeah.
But so it's like playing, it's like speaking another language. So I've always
Definitely.
maintained the two separately, my regular playing and then the slide guitar playing, since the late '60s.
So did all of that, that skill set, how did that culminate to, your kind of audition process, I suppose, with Fleetwood Mac? And, how did that first come about? And had you been, doing the bar scene and that kind of thing first, or was it you were doing more recording artist stuff, or how did that sort of
Time period I was telling you, I was in school, I was in college, and
right?
I wasn't studying music or anything. I was actually a theater major. And so during that time, I met this group who I really liked. They were doing a mixture of rock and roll with gospel and blues and R&B, and they were called Delaney and Bonnie and Friends. and they're getting quite popular. In fact, they had a live album called Delaney and Bonnie on Tour with Eric Clapton. So in this recording was Eric Clapton on the lead guitar, and also a Liverpool guy that some people know. His name was George Harrison. He was part of that. And so I learned all these songs, and I just said, well, that's the direction I want to go in. That and Peter Green's Fleetwood Mac were big influences on the direction I wanted to take.
And so, the blues,
people, and I played them some recordings that I had made, and they were very kind. And after going to see them several times, they invited me to come on stage and sit in with them on one of their local shows in Pennsylvania. And I did a very good job apparently that night, and I impressed them. And they said, well, move to California. We'll help you get started in the music business if that's what you want to do. So later that year, that's what I did. I moved to Los Angeles, and I met up with them and another guy, Todd Rundgren, who I had met and did some recording with. And I stayed with Todd Rundgren, and they hired me, and I went on the road. And from them, I started meeting all these incredible people in Los Angeles, because that was the best place to be. I met like, Leon Russell and Rita Coolidge and Bobby Keys, Jim Price. All these people came out of Delaney and Bonnie and Friends. So that's, I broke into the business and started doing sessions and touring with name artists.
Wow, that's incredible. It's so difficult for artists to understand that journey from how you get from, just playing the guitar in your bedroom to then going on stage and touring the world. Like how, what is that gap that bridges those two events? Would you say that it's, you're honing your musical craft and you understanding your identity that is the factor that's kind of led there?
Yeah, that's why I always tell younger players is to, spend a lot of time practicing, trying to sound like yourself, but also play in the direction you want to play, to try to develop a style so that when opportunities do come along, you're going to be ready. And that's what happened to me. An opportunity came along and I was ready for it. And I would say that each level that I progressed to along the way, I was ready for it because I kept playing and
understanding your identity and sounding like yourself. How did you discover that? Was that just a process of following your passion, or would you say there's more to it?
There's definitely more to it. Some people just they find that thing early somehow. And other people, it's an amalgamation of different people that you've listened to and you've kind of learned from, but then you kind of put a little separate twist on it so that it, winds up sounding a little bit more like you. But I would say that time for most people is a necessary ingredient. You have to put the time in and continue honing that. And today people can learn on the internet all these different courses and stuff, and I'm not sure I agree with doing a lot of that. I've never been one for too much of that. I mean, you can learn some things, but I think it's more important to get out there in front of people and get on stage and make mistakes in front of people and, learn by your mistakes and, just try to keep in mind that, hey, I want to do this and I want to sound like me and I want to get somewhere with this.
Yeah. And not being too precious about it, I suppose, because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be fun, isn't it? It's supposed to be music and, we're there to entertain people. That's all it is. It's not, we're not brain surgeons or anything like that. I certainly agree that, getting out in front of an audience is worth, 10 practice sessions at home or in a studio or something like that.
True. And another good tool is to try to write songs that fit with what you're able to play.
Right.
So, right, if you can come up with, you know, a good song or a handful of good songs that, and you can express yourself, create your own licks to fit the song. I mean, that can be amazing. You can be a sort of less than stellar player, shall we say, but still be incredibly impressive, just by the fact that you're communicating something both in your song and in your playing that is unique.
Definitely. I remember playing with you, and we were, what was the tune? Rattlesnake Shake. We were playing that, and we had different solos, didn't we? It was like, you know, I do a bit, then you do a bit, or something like that. And I remember there was I kind of approached it. It was only in A minor, and I approached it with all this kind of stuff. And that's my background, and that's where I come from. And then you just kind of did this tasty, just this A minor. You just went, and I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, that's so good," and it's so simple. And and I was just like, "Oh, why can't I do that?" And I thought, "Well, I can." It's so simple, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You know, the emphasis for young people these days is on shredding and who can play the fastest and dazzle the most people. Well, that's, you know, fine. There's people that are good at that, but that's not the only way.
Yeah,
you can play. You can take, you know, there are many players, and I'll cite, you know, B.B. King, Albert King, those blues guys, Freddie King, even Eric Clapton, Peter Green, guy called Amos Garrett, Jesse Ed Davis, who was with Taj Mahal. Now they took a different approach. It was saying more with less notes, and I think that it's good to be able to play flurries of notes, you know, but not continuously. You know, it's like if you just start screaming and you don't stop screaming, people are going to get tired of that. But yes, if you start slow and you kind of like get people's attention, and then give them something to dazzle, and then go back to something a little more interesting and with feeling. You know, it's interesting. I just think that for young people, the emphasis has not been on that so much, and they could think a little bit more about rhythm playing and about playing something that fits the song, which is very important.
Hey, effectively, it's taste, isn't it? You know, trying to. I mean, I teach students. Do you think you can teach taste?
Examples. Well, you can play people examples of players who play with taste and go like, you know, okay, I get that. Listen to these three guys. Listen to this solo. Listen to that solo, and see if it sinks in. See if it makes sense. You know.
What's your approach to songwriting, Rick?
Well, right now I'm sitting in my dining room, and for some reason, this room has sparked a lot of songs. I don't know. I think I start off a lot of times with one of two things: a guitar riff. I'll write a whole song around a guitar riff.
Right.
And other times I'll find a set of lyrics that I'd written that I'd forgotten about, and just mess around with that and see what comes out of that. Other times it starts with a title. A friend of mine many years ago said, "Oh, here's a cool title," and he gave me a title, and I said, "Oh, that's interesting," you know. And so I wound up starting a song, and I came back with the song to this guy. And it was he gave me the title. I said, "You want to work on this?" He said, "Nah, kind of. Why don't you just take it? You know, it's yours. I give you the title. You know, because
nice guy.
You know, titles are a dozen anyway. You can,
yeah.
You could have a hold your hand, and the Beatles couldn't sue you."
Yeah.
So anyway, I wrote this song. It wound up getting years later covered by somebody, and then now that song, I won't give it the title. I'll just keep it a secret for now. But it's going to, I found a take of it that I recorded of it some years ago. And now it's going to be on my new record that's coming out in March.
What what was it like? Because obviously you've done a lot of session work as well. Do you find that what's often asked of you in those sessions? Do you find that people are really specific, and they want, please play like this and do this specifically, or do you find that they're largely just, they're grateful to have Rick Vito with them and just, Rick, you do your thing? Or, how do you behave in those sessions and what's generally asked of you?
I would say the overwhelming majority of sessions I've done have been with the kind of artists that just wanted me to put my own flavor onto something. Right. Because I can't read music, for one thing. I can follow chord charts. And I would say the least success I ever had, which only happened 2 or 3 times, were when they wanted me to play specific things.
Right.
And, for the most part, I got through that. One time I excused myself from a session because I had told the person who hired me, look, this is what I do. I played on this, I played on this and this and this. This is the kind of thing I do. Is this what your session is like? And they said, oh, yes, this is exactly what we want. Of course, when I got there, they put a chart in front of me with all this gobbledygook, 50 million chords in the key of A flat, And they started playing. They had these really legitimate session guys that do this stuff all day long.
Yeah.
And I said, I was a producer, and I said, listen, you're wasting your money here. I can't add anything to this. This is not what I do. And I tried to explain that to the person that hired me. So that was the one time I did leave a session. But other than that, my experience has been pretty positive, that I was able to just play what I play, and it fit. And because I developed an ability, for the most part, to play with what fit their song.
Yeah.
And to add something to that gave it a little bit of a nice flavor. So I've been lucky in that sense.
You've got fantastic ears, though. I think I remember, and you've often played me songs and things like that and said, well, what do you think of this? And like, this is great. Can you hear this? And I think you've got a very critical ear, and you understand taste. I think in terms of, or you've at least got an opinion on a range of different artists, and it's certainly to your credit. And that's I think what people have sort of latched onto your spirit, that's the spirit of Rick Vito, that kind of open-mindedness and things.
Thank you. I mean, we all have to play what we like. Yeah. And we're all going to listen to music that we like and be influenced by that. So, I've been lucky to have survived in the music business, and apparently I'm still going. So, right? Yes.
It's got to be something, right? Yeah. What's your secret then, for surviving the music business? What do you think it takes?
You have to learn to live with rejection and failures and the thumbs down.
Right.
And you have to learn to survive the hard times, because, these kids, or even myself when I was younger, but certainly since the video era came about, you see your favorite artists, and you tend to think that it's all success, it's all easy, it's all this or that, but it's not. And there's a heck of a lot more people who have survived in the music business because they've been able to survive the down years, the bad times, the years where there weren't any good gigs and you weren't really surviving that well, and you do what you got to do to get through it.
Yeah.
And that can open up new doors too.
Definitely.
So it's not all easy. So you have to learn how to with all that stuff.
The global pandemic, I was going to say, was certainly an iteration of that. Was the downtimes, because it completely killed the music industry. And I certainly was a victim of the pandemic. I had a bunch of things that were like ready to go. This is about to happen, a tour, one of these, a release, everything. And just overnight, the whole thing's ground to a halt, you know, and it was really bad in some ways because of all what I've just said. But I find that just to kind of reiterate what you were saying there, it kind of makes you reflect and look at things differently as well. And, you know, you understand, oh, maybe I don't have to do that actually. Maybe I could do this instead. Or has that happened? Would you say that that's kind of happened to you, frequently throughout your career?
Yeah, but certainly the last 4 years, as you mentioned, with that pandemic thing, I came home from the Peter Green tribute concert in London with COVID. I just thought I had the flu. But then everything closed down. I had festivals booked, nothing, everything ground to a halt, like you said. And I mentioned my new record. Well, I started, working on a record in 2020, and I thought I had that thing finished 4 times.
Huh.
But I realized, because of the time allotment, that I could take my time and really putting out a record that, number one, I liked, number two, was cohesive, and number three, best expressed what I wanted to express. So I tossed a lot of songs out. Not that they weren't good, but I just waited until I had the best collection of songs and such. So that was a good thing that came out of it for me.
Interesting. What I used to hear, you used to tell me stories and say, this has just happened, or this person saw me, or this, or I did this with this guy, or whatever. And each name I remember you were saying would be someone incredibly massive, something that any, household name, anybody that anybody's heard of. And I won't be specific here, but I just remember like thinking, wow, like some of the people that you've toured with, played with, or you're just friends with, or whatever it is. How much of the business, the music industry, is reliant on building a network of people and collaborating with people, do you think?
Well, it certainly helps. It certainly helps that I was in Los Angeles when I was there.
Right.
Los Angeles in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and the beginning of the 90s was just the place to be. Everybody came there from all over the world to record. There was, there was more recording studios, the best engineers, the best equipment. Everything was there, and it was just a lucky thing that I went there when I did. So, if you were active and playing about and networking, just making friends quite naturally.
Yeah.
Things people would see you or recommend you or come to a club where you've been playing and you get a gig or an invitation to do this or that. So that was a very fortunate thing to have happen. It's always good when you can meet other people in the business who are well respected, and if they like what you're doing and you're able to collaborate with them in some way, that's always a good thing. I know what you're talking about. I don't know that that's happened as much for me in the last 4 years, or in recent years, in the last 10 years or so, because the music business has changed so much.
Right.
Los Angeles is a place it used to be. I don't live there anymore.
Right.
And so things are different.
Yeah. And that's part of the story, I guess, isn't it? That, the man goes with the times, I suppose. And, like you said, coming through a particular place in a particular time just happened to be really good for you. Would you, I don't think so personally, but I mean, would you say that there is any place on the planet now that you think is, that it's really happening there, go there, or do you not think it works like that anymore?
I don't think it works quite like that anymore, but here's something I believe, I've always believed. When we look at the Beatles, okay, the Beatles were from Liverpool, working class place. They went to a scummy place called the Reeperbahn in Hamburg, and they developed their songs and their style, and then people came to them. I still believe that wherever you are, you can develop your songs and your style and get something going. And I think when people take notice of that, if people take notice of it, if it's good, that could be your entree into the the commercial marketplace.
Yeah,
more so than a specific city or anything like that.
and that can be helped, I suppose, by social media and things as well. Do you do social media and stuff yourself, Rick, or
I'm not good at it, Ben. I'm not nearly the expert you are, but I'm with the release of my new record, I'm making effort now to update my my website and I've found that there's hundreds of videos on YouTube of things that I participate that I didn't post. So I'm not making any money off of that. So I think we're going to start paying some more attention to that, and I think it's helpful. I guess it's the way of the world these days.
Yeah, but you're not about to do a dance on TikTok or any of that stuff.
You never know.
You never know. I'm quietly gutted about that, to be honest. I'd like to see that. Would you?
Right. Okay. Well, I'll send you a few examples, and you can pick out the best one.
Yeah, I'm all ears. Please do. Would
Okay.
you be able to show us the record? Would you be able to do that?
Yeah. Do you want to wait just a second?
Yeah. I'll get a cup of tea or something. Yeah.
Okay. So I just signed with a new label. It's called Blue Heart Records, and they're very active in the blues rock kind of genre. And it's two ladies, Sally Bankston and Betsy Browne. One's in Pennsylvania, and they're partners, and one's in Memphis. So here's the new album, and this is just an advance copy. It's not available; won't be available till late February, early March. It's called Cadillac Man, and can you see it?
Yeah, I can see it, man. Yeah, I love it.
Here's the back cover, and here's the inside.
And
And so
the hat. You're still doing the hat. It's great.
On that shot, yeah. But this car is my car, and that dog in the front seat, my dog, Mister. I've always loved Cadillacs. Always especially in California, when they were very affordable vintage cars. I always had one or two old Cadillacs, and when I moved here, I sold my last one, and I hadn't had one for about 20 years. So last year, I came across a '69 Sedan DeVille, which is a four-door car. It had 11,000 original miles on it, original everything. So wow. I was able to get a really good deal on it. So that kind of spurred the song, and the song became the title song to the new record.
Wow, superb. So when can we hear it? We can hear in March, about March.
Yeah, I know the official date is in March, but they may start doing some advanced work on it in February. And so we'll see. I'll let you know.
Well, you've obviously got to do some TikTok dances and things as well, and all that stuff as well. So
yeah, sure.
Please send me a copy, please. I'd love to hear it. Definitely. I'd really.
Yeah. Released worldwide through them. So
amazing.
I really like this record. It gives me a lot of room to play, the slide things that I like, and vintage sounding things that I like. And it's not trying to be modern in any sense, really. It's just trying to be me, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and that's as you've been saying, that's the only thing that you need to be doing, just to be yourself and to put your own stamp on the world. Yeah, I can't wait to hear it, mate. Thanks for sharing that with me. Definitely. I'm mindful of the time and stuff, Rick. So, just to kind of wrap us up, what would you say? You know, there's a lot of youngsters, students, people who are in the position that you were all those years ago, and they've just got a guitar, they've just got their band together, they're looking to get into the music industry and to do all the things that you've done, and tour the world and hang out with the stars and all that kind of stuff. What would your overall sort of, do you have any advice? Do you have any tips or tricks or anything that you think they need to hear? And what would be their best route to get into the industry and to go and live the life?
Well, it's cliche, but number one rule is to never give up, because there'll be ample opportunities for you to give up. And truly make music and the love of music your main goal. And if you can express something in that music that's you, or that's interesting and unique, then maybe there's a chance. I don't know, because the music business has changed so much, and the kind of music that's really popular now is not necessarily what I like, but there's exceptions to every rule. And belief in yourself is a major tool in life in general, no matter what you're doing. Believing without reserve. So in other words, you can't have belief and doubt at the same time. You have to choose one. You can't mix them. And if you do mix them, as most people do, it's going to just take you longer to get to, if you ever get there at all, to where you want to wind up. And this holds true for relationships or any job or music or art or whatever you want to do. You can't really control it. You can only be ready when the opportunity knocks, and you're not going to be ready unless you put your time into it. And if you couple that with, some people call it faith, but it's belief. If you're religious, that could enter into it, and even if you're not, it can enter into it. And be a necessary ingredient.
Interesting.
And that's I think of the most important thing for people to realize.
Definitely. Thank you, Rick. I really, really appreciate you doing this.
One thing up, Ben, that you're going to want to see.
Go on.
You're going to see the new Reverend Rick Vito Soul Agent guitar, aren't you?
Is that it in the background? Is that it?
Background. Let's do a.
Go on, let's go and see it. Go on, let's see it.
You got us. Can you see it?
Man, look at it.
Look at it.
It's salmon pink as well. It's my favorite. Oh wow, it's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. No, it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah. And
did you see it?
I can see. Yeah, I saw it. Yeah. Did it have the it's got the Bigsby on it and everything as well, hasn't it?
Yeah, all that Bigsby's. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. What was the inspiration behind that, or is that out of your hands?
No, it's I've had four different styles out with Reverend. So it had a mother of pearl finish. It was really beautiful. One for that is the one you have. The original one had sandblasted images on it that were taken from a coat that I designed and hand painted. This one here, I wanted to have Reverend put more of their features and a couple of mine, but make it features that Reverend guitar buyers and players like. So I think that's what we did with this one. And I got to say, it's probably one of the most versatile guitars that I own.
Right.
It had the Bigsby, of course. It's got humbucking pickups on it, but he's developed a push-pull, which gives it a single coil sound without it being single coil. So you're still in humbuck mode. and it's got a P90 in the neck, I should say. So so you've got all this tonal variation. It's got another push-pull on the tone switch that allows you to have a in phase or out of phase in the
Oh,
center.
wow. Wow, that's amazing. So it's like the Peter Green influence there, isn't it? That's like the blues. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Started with other guys like B.B. King and James Burton were playing out of phase long before Peter, but
Yeah.
yeah, it gives you a lot more.
Wow, wow. How much will one of them set a person back?
I think they're selling in the stores for 1,200 US.
Oh, yeah, 1,200 in the US. All right, interesting. I'll have to,
Yeah,
well,
it's
I have to get myself on now.
not it's not Paul Reed Smith expensive.
Yeah, no, it's really reasonable for what it is and the craftsmanship in it, definitely. That's amazing. And are they for sale now?
Yeah, they're for sale now, and I have to say that they're an American company, but as many guitars are these days, they're built in Korea. But the quality control is astonishingly good.
You've convinced me I'll have to buy one now. That's and much to my family's chagrin. But
If you ever need one, you know who to call and try to get
man,
you a
I'm
good
gonna
price.
call you right after this podcast.
Uh,
Rick, thank you so much for doing this. I really, really appreciate your time and for sharing all that stuff with us. I really appreciate it. Yeah,
Always a pleasure, Ben. I have great expectations for you.
thank you, my friend. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you so much anyway, mate. Have a really
Well,
great day. And yeah, I'll be in touch really soon. And
take care. Bye bye.
bye, mate. Bye.